Today we're gonna tie a loop knot that's great for using on streamers. It's a non-slip loop knot. So I've heard it called a figure-8 loop knot before. I don't know if that's the proper name. I honestly, off the top of my head, don't know the proper name. So for today's purposes, we're gonna call it the TFS loop knot. It's a great knot, again, for using on streamers or poppers or something like that. And the reason you want to use a loop knot is it gives more movement to those flies. And a streamer especially, you're trying to imitate like a bait fish pattern. So it can move side to side within the knot and up and down, and it gives it a little bit more freedom of movement, especially when you're stripping something through the water. So it's a great knot to use for those situations. So let's jump into it and show you how this one's done. So we're gonna do this loop knot. Like I said before, I've heard this called several different things, so we're gonna call it the TFS loop knot for today's purposes. But basically this is a great thing to use for streamers or poppers or anything that you just wanna have extra movement. And after I tie it, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So the first thing you want to do is take your line and just put a regular overhand knot in it. And what that is I usually just roll the loop on top and I come through the bottom side with the tag in. That is an overhand knot, if you weren't sure what that is. And that's in the line. You do not want to cinch that down. You want to leave it open. That's how you're going to finish the knot. So from that point, we're going to take that and actually run it through the eye of the hook. And so the fly is on here. Now what I do is I follow this back through. So as you can see, I hope you can see this on camera, the line is coming out of that overhand knot from this side, the side that's facing down. So I'm just going to follow that right back through and come out the back side. At this point, behind that overhand knot, I'm going to make a couple, 2-3 twists around the line. We'll just do 2. And then I'm going to follow that line back through the same way it came. Just like that. And I'm going to cinch it down where it's not quite tight, and then you can kind of slide this up depending on how big you want the loop. This one's a pretty good size fly, so I can make the loop big or small. I'm going to leave it big just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about for the movement. From there, I just lift it up, I moisten it, I put the tag in my mouth, I hold the fly. Make sure you hold the fly. Don't just grip it like this because you're going to pull the fly into your finger. Make sure you hold the fly where the hook is in a safe spot. Cinch that bad boy down, and it is tied. Now, I would normally make this loop a little smaller, but again, I wanted to over exaggerate the idea of the movement on the fly. So when this is in the water, this thing, depending on the current, let me cut the tag off, make it a little easier for you to see here. So when this thing's in the current and you're stripping it or you kill it, which what I mean by killing it is you stop your strip, this thing has freedom for the current to push it, and it can wiggle side to side or go up and down a little easier. Where if this was a fixed knot and it was tight like that, it can't wiggle as much. You can kind of see that difference. If that was a hard knot, that's what you're gonna get. Only the line is gonna be able to dictate what it does. But when it's in the loop, this thing can do all sorts of things in the water. Just makes it look a little bit more natural. So I always advise people when you're fishing a streamer or you're trying to fish that style of streamer fishing, or maybe a topwater popper for bass or anything like that, it's a great idea to use like a loop knot like this. This is kind of my preferred method. There's tons of loop knots out there. What you want to make sure you do is you don't tie a slip loop where this thing will slide up against the eye and tighten up, because then you just tied a regular knot basically. You want to make sure it is a non-slip loop knot, whatever you use. But this is my preferred one. It works for me, at least for freshwater application for bass and trout. For saltwater, I'd probably use something that's maybe a little stronger than that knot if I was doing some type of loop knot. Hope you enjoyed the video. As always, follow us on all our social media stuff. Give us a look on flyshop.com. Check that out. Love to, or flyshopUSA.com rather, not just flyshop.com. flyshopUSA.com. Give us a look on there if you need any gear or anything. And if you got any questions, give us a shout at one of the shops. Thanks for watching.